Hello friends, I welcome you to my YouTube channel, my Facebook, Instagram, and all the networks. In this channel, we discuss important issues, both religious and cultural. But today, I want to discuss a very interesting topic. And I believe that this is a major problem in our generation. What I'm trying to talk about today is a major problem in our generation. Now, what am I trying to talk about? I want to talk about the mistakes that young pastors make when they are transferred or sent to a new parish. And I'm going to touch a lot of issues on that. First, if you are a young priest and you are transferred to a new church, oftentimes you discover that this young priest will start by condemning the people. You see, they talk about the new congregation in most cases like they are not spiritual enough. And these pastors see themselves as the only spirit-filled people. Those, like, with so much pride and arrogance, they come to the people like they are Jesus coming to them. Even if the congregants are sinners, pastoral ministry makes it, brings it or puts it in such a way that you will approach them with love. Do not see yourself as being the most qualified person to be among them. So when you are posted to a congregation, and even if they are really not Christians, the best approach to start is not by condemning them. Again, there is this very regular mistakes pastors make when they are sent to a new parish. They start by condemning their predecessor. They start by faulting everything their predecessor may have done. They start by clamping down on all the good works the man they came to take over may have done. This is a very bad way of kicking off as a pastor. Why I'm doing this video is that this January, most Reverend Fathers, most pastors, most Anglican priests, and Pentecostal pastors should be moving from one location to another. And once they get there, you will see the first set of people that will come to you and tell you every bad thing the other man did. Listen, the same way they spoke to you about the other pastor that is leaving is the same way they are going to speak to another person about you when you are leaving. So be wise when they come to you. So, and you too, be wise the way you talk about your predecessor. You know, it comes in two ways. The first way is that most times young pastors tend to be the ones condemning everything their predecessor did. In the other hand, church members can come to you and tell you that the other man was better than you. What is the best approach to this problem? I would advise that once such a thing happens, please do not see them as a problem. Try to answer each of them with a very soft and kind word, like, please pray for me that I might be better, or pray for me that I might measure up to the task of my predecessor. Keep it brief. Do not open your mouth so widely when you get to the station. I mean, do not open your mouth so wide. You have just come to meet people you have not met before in life. Among them, surprises will roll. And may I also tell you that if your predecessor was involved in a crisis, let me tell you, in church management, there are 3 stages that you must meet. After 1 year, your first critics will rise. In some cases, it may generate to a crisis, or it may be just a problem that you could talk about in your vestry or PCC or church council or church management, whatever name you give it. After 3 years comes the second attack. That one is usually very hard. And when that attack will rise from those who feel you have blocked them from having access to what they usually have access to, but they want you off. They want to get you, they want to get rid of you, so they will have that full control. And the last time will be between your 5th and 6th year. They are already tired. Almost half of the church wants you to go. But if you pass these 3 stages in a parish, you will either remain there with them and until both you and them get tired. Things will no longer move. So your best bid to bring out your best in a parish is between your 1st year and your 3rd year. Do not be carried away by what you see. 3, don't make unnecessary visits to the rich. My recommendations are always visit both the poor and the rich. Pray for both the poor and the rich. Do not subject yourself to be seen in that wealthy man's house every day. You know why? Very soon, the poor among you will begin to feel that this rich man is the one controlling the parish. If that doesn't go that way, another thing that may come out of it is that the rich man himself may pose a control over you, and you cannot, trust me, you cannot overcome that situation. When this big man decides to take control over what you do, how you do it, who to meet, who not to meet, he is going to take total control of your ministry. And in most cases, it is very dangerous. So do not dance to the tone of a particular man. Be a father to all. Otherwise, the man you are giving more power will be the one that will fight you and push you out. Because he has money, he knows the way to the general overseer, the bishop, the archbishop. He got money, he could go to the head of the church to talk about you. Remember, this goes across board, not just a particular denomination. We are talking about when new pastors come to visit. Now, when you visit people generally, keep your conversations brief. Don't open your mouth so widely and start talking about everything. Remember, you have just come to meet people you have not met before. Remember, these people are new to you. They don't know you that well. They may have heard about you. They have gone behind to ask about you. Do not speak more than you are required. Keep everything brief until you get to know who to trust. If you trust them too early, they will push you out too early. So do not entrust anyone, don't give any special responsibility to anyone about your parish. Take charge. Lastly, when people die, feel empathy and sympathy. Mourn with the people. Cry with them. Don't go to them to tell them that, the Bible said you should not weep like you don't know the pains they are going through. They are going through pains. I recommend when you get to a place where somebody just died, pastor, young priest, keep quiet. Mourn with them. Pray briefly and leave. Because the Bible said that Jesus himself wept when he went to Lazarus. So don't go to people to make them feel like they have not prayed enough, or that they don't know the Bible enough in the face of their challenge. That is a terrible thing to do. Then this one goes to the church leadership. It's about welfare. This affects mostly the Orthodox churches. In a setting where the only person that has a car is the bishop. The only person that lives in a good house is the bishop. The only person that could send his children to school is the bishop. The only person whose children can attend or go to the hospital when they get sick is the bishop. The only person who the government sees and who sees the government is the bishop. The only person who has access to flying on an airplane is the bishop. The only person who can attend conferences and further their studies is the bishop. Tell me, why wouldn't there be crisis? This is why we have crisis in different denominations. This is why we have fight in different churches. Because the local pastor at the local parishes cannot even afford 3 square meals. Recently, my church sent something to a missionary church somewhere. I don't want to mention the name. And we got a text from that church. The pastor in that local parish or that local mission was saying, thank you. This is an answered prayer. We were owing the woman who gave us gari for the last 3 weeks. So I can't even walk by the shop where we buy gari because we don't have money. We have not been paid for 8 months. Kai, if you are a church leader and somebody is doing the work of God under you, for 8 months you have not been able to pay that person, no matter your denomination, don't you think it's wickedness? Now, if I may understand that there are places where you have less finances, I understand that very well. But why do you then ordain more people? If you have less finances in your area, do not ordain more. You can use missionaries like church teachers if you are in the Anglican church. You can use catechists in the Catholic church. You can use evangelists in the Pentecostal church. You can send missionaries, people that will go in voluntarily to do the work. But if you send a pastor to live in a particular community and you don't pay the pastor, the tendency will be there that this pastor will go begging. And once this pastor goes begging, the integrity of the church is destroyed. Totally. The image of the church, including the image of the big man, who is the bishop or the general overseer, his image is at stake. Because when people talk, they say, the pastor of this church, the reverend father of that parish, the parish priest of that mission. So it is important that church leaders take welfare of their priests so important. Now, I'm not saying priests should live beyond their means. It is also very important, it has become important, and one of those who advocate that priests can also be allowed, those priests that have the skills or that can go into private or government ventures can be encouraged, because we have priests serving as military chaplains, as lecturers, as in all fields of life. You too, as a priest, don't wake up in the morning and turn on your television set and watch television from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. only to go for Bible study by 7 p.m. You are not being productive. You have not even opened your Bible. You have not even prayed. How do you think you are going to make a good priest? How do you think the people will see you as a serious priest? Even if the church does not take care of you, there are little things you can do. Get a computer. There are a lot of things you can do. Buy a computer. Go to school. Improve yourself. Let me tell you, it is only your words that people look or people will look for in the 21st and the 22nd century. The 22nd century that we are getting into will be more challenging because people will no longer rely on prayer. We see prayer fading away. We see a lot of teachings coming now to clamor. You can no longer be a pastor that comes to the pulpit unprepared. Let me tell you why. As we are speaking, everybody has a little cell phone, like the cell phone I have here now. Now, you could be preaching and you quote something. Within 2 minutes, I'll tell you, they have Googled it and they know that you are wrong. It's not like in those olden days where you come and talk trash. So the church now is demanding, is taxing. Again, you should get yourself acquainted to follow the trend of things because the church is actually changing. Again, why is the competition among peers? We have talked about bishops of trying to oppress the younger pastors. Now, what about the pastors among themselves? What is the competition for? What is the competition? Why are we fighting each other? Why do you want to prove a point that you are better than the other pastor? And therefore, you run the other pastor down so that you will become the only pastor? Trust me, nobody that has run another person down has ever risen to the position of that person. You know why? We all have separate grace. Our grace is not the same. We have different grace. And we must realize that our grace is different. We do not share the same kind of grace. And now, let me also make it too clear now to you. It is obvious that in our generation, we have a generation that is fast moving away from the church. Can the church incorporate some programs that is not praying and fasting? Yes, the church can. It was the missionaries who took school to Africa. It was the missionaries who brought the hospital. They were innovative enough to even have invented a lot of technology. The church can build an industry. Yes, the church can build a farm. I remember when I was serving in a mission, there's a mission where we call Ibokenyi in Annam. While I was serving in that community, there was something we used to do. We will buy a land or rent a land, and the church will invest in cultivating yam. The church could not make money enough from offerings, but we were making enough money to sustain us that we even... So the church can also go that route. So I'm encouraging our pastors, as we move out and transfer from one parish to another, there is need for us to follow some of these guidelines. And now to members of the parish, do you think that pastor doesn't have a problem? Why do you even enjoy that your pastor cannot feed and you live in a very beautiful house? You want to humiliate the man because he's a pastor. Kai, what kind of congregation and who child of person are you? Irrespective that some pastors too overdo it, those that are in the urban area, some of them live a very exotic life. But I'm talking about those in a rural area. Also, make sure, take it as a responsibility to assist your pastor. They will make mistakes. Yes, they will make mistakes. But in all their mistakes, see them as your spiritual father. Thank you. I'll come more your way with more episode on how a pastor should behave in his first parish. Thank you and God bless you. See you. Bye.